Take a load off and grab a seat. Pull up a chair, prop up your feet. That's fine by me. Fine by me. Yeah. It's podcast time. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Halloween episode of Fine by Me. I'm Nick Cook.
What's up?
Josh Harrington, and we have a special guest today.
Thank you for bringing that up, Josh.
The lovely, fantastic, amazing, tremendous Christy
Beautiful.
Biggs. Thank you for being with us today, Christy.
Christy Lynn Biggs.
That's not her name.
Happy to be here, guys.
Oh,
Do you
But that could
know?
work.
Do you know it's almost exactly a year anniversary since Christy was on last?
Is it?
ooh.
It's within like 4 or 5 days or so.
Was that a planned deal or was that a surprise?
That
drop?
was a surprise.
I usually,
I let Josh know like Saturday or so.
I think so, yeah.
Because I got a Facebook
Bunger Hills.
memory thing.
Was that the estrogen has
Yeah,
entered the
estrogen's
chat?
in
Yeah.
the chat. Yeah.
It's an easy way to
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
up with it. Because that is true. Estrogen has, in fact, entered the chat.
We could all use a little.
Enters
bit
my
more
chat all day long.
Yeah.
We
This
also,
one especially.
I don't think anybody that we've never filmed from this table either.
No, we have not.
We used to early
There
days.
should be a big Fine by Me logo right behind me, probably, I hope.
Yeah, I'll work that in. But we used to. This is how we used to record for a long time.
Yeah.
It was either shop, and then we decided the shop had too many trains and too
Not
many
enough bathrooms.
yeah, not enough bathrooms.
I didn't know what random person was going to pop in.
Yeah, too many vagrants popping by every now and then. So-
Vagrants is a push.
When people see that door open, they're like, "Oh, Nick's there. There might be something fun going on."
You think that you've welcomed, like, in your lifetime, that you've welcomed that? Like, people are like, oh, Nick's cool. We can pop in and see him anytime.
Yeah. And I've always got a smile.
I bet people don't think that about me.
Yeah.
If like, well, Josh is home. Let's pop in and see him for a minute. I bet he's pumped.
You're a let's call him. First
Yeah,
kind of
let's
guy.
see. Let's feel him out.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you're my mom.
Yeah, she just pops in.
Yeah, she does.
She might have a crush on me, though. If you're listening, LB, love you.
Well, with that haircut, you might expect a few more people.
Oh,
to
yeah,
pop
people
in
haven't
here
seen my
lately.
new haircut. I went from one extreme to the other.
Wow.
Feels good. Feels real good.
He was looking good.
You got white privilege written all over your face.
I definitely got that haircut, for sure. I got it. Can I speak to the manager?
Were you
Haircut.
trying to get a job
Oh,
somewhere?
hell no.
You're
You's
applying for
crazy.
jobs
That's
as
crazy.
Joshua.
My full name,
Yeah.
my Christian name.
Oh my God.
Joshua Ricky Harrington.
No,
Joshua Todd.
Todd. It
I
is.
feel like there's something that I thought of while on the way over here. I was driving on 240 thinking about deers, but I was also thinking about food. And I was thinking about my last meal. Like if I was in prison and I was about to get executed, I've probably said a different thing before in the past, but I think it would actually change to just being able to sit down in an old Pizza Hut buffet with the red cups, being able to go in their little arcade thing, and then at about 10 minutes later, I was like, what's a buffet? I mean, like, that could last a long time.
Yeah.
I think if I had to pick a old buffet restaurant, it'd be Ponderosa.
Is that because, boys, this is like the Ponderosa and the Pizza Hut, those memories are before the sadness settled in?
That
I
is-
think
before
so,
my
yeah.
nana died, I think that's what it
Yeah.
was. Before when I was still woke up and wasn't in excruciating pain every day.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
I didn't wake up in the middle of the night screaming.
Calling the Grim Reaper. It's
I
like,
wake
hey,
up-
man, when you coming?
I wake up in the middle of the night screaming sometimes.
You
I
don't
didn't used to
wait,
do
or-
that.
I don't know if I want. We're not past my rule, but I'm going to go past it. I'm going to go on anyways. But there was a tall tale in Scottsville that a lady died because somebody gave her like Mexican some kind of Mexican flies or some shit, and apparently it makes you really horny, and she tried to fuck her gear shift.
Mexican what?
Mexican something. I don't remember what it was. And she
Flies.
fucked her gear shift, but she killed herself
Yikes.
because of
Was
that.
she driving when she did it?
No, she was just in the parking lot and passed away. That was a tall tale.
Was it a hot day? She forgot to roll the windows down?
I was
think
literally like 15 when I heard that story.
I think it's really sweet whenever somebody dies and the person describes it as they passed away. Like, I don't ever think about that. They passed away.
Well,
Like, it's all.
I've spent the
That's-
last 2 days at a funeral home.
They
So
were
that's
fucking murdered,
this-
dude.
This woman passed away with a 5-speed up her puss.
A hearse
Yikes.
shifter. What do you think about that, Christy?
I'm just saying yikes.
I'm sorry. That's as soon as I think of Scottsville's Pizza Hut, I don't know who.
Is that where it happened?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. That well, I don't. I'm.
Is it still open?
No.
No, like the
It
actual
was last
restaurant.
time I was there. I
Okay,
was
so
there.
yeah, it might be.
I built that big new bridge right beside it.
Oh,
Back in
yeah.
2019.
They had a
Yeah.
really good Japanese restaurant over there for some time, right by the country club.
Oh yeah.
Down there
Yuki's,
by the
yeah,
creek,
Yuki's or something.
Yeah, it was
Maybe
good.
I don't remember what
it was.
it was.
Like a Ichiban kind of deal or something.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Lynn's, I think, was actually the name of it. My name tag fell down. Y'all know who I
That's
am.
Wes.
Y'all know who I am.
Wesley
That's
Renee.
That's Stephen King.
Stephen King. Yeah, it. Pennywise.
We're trying to get in the Halloween spirit.
Halloween.
Wesley Renee Willoughby.
Yeah.
Is that it?
No.
You're
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess yours is Clive
It's close.
Clay.
No, gay.
Yeah.
His
G-A-Y-E.
name's Gabe,
G-A-Y-E.
So I spent the day today
Danger.
watching scary movies with my mom. We watched Haunting in Connecticut, and I just talked them over the weekend. I've been staying with my parents or whatever during this funeral thing,
Bless up.
and I talked them into finally getting YouTube TV. So they wanted me to show them how it all
They got
works.
the news now. Your dad's watching Fox News all day now.
No, my dad hates everything politics.
Well.
So
He sounds like
time.
a simple man with a simple life, and I like his way.
yeah.
I do. I wish I
Yeah.
could adopt those ways.
Yeah,
Not care.
he walked in on us watching Haunting in Connecticut, and he was like, "What are y'all watching in here? Some spooky stuff?" I don't remember what he said. He some scary stuff.
I've been diving into the spiritual realm here lately, and I was listening to a clip. Maybe it was a reel on Facebook earlier, and this woman really used to love watching the Vampire Diaries, and I guess they had a lot of spells on there. Well, one of the writers for Vampire Diaries was on Facebook bragging that she used to actually look up voodoo witch spells from Louisiana. And she would maybe change a word or two in those spells, but she put those in the show. And, voodoo witches would call her and be like, "You have no idea what you're doing. You're letting all this evil into these people's homes.
Holy shit.
You are
It's awesome.
casting spells through millions of people's TV screens."
What did I tell you the other night? Christy was watching some kind of scary movie, and I said, "You're letting all this evil into our house." I had to get up and walk off. What was you watching? The new Sydney Sweeney movie,
Immaculate.
Immaculate. Didn't you watch that?
I did. I didn't care for it.
They were doing all
You
this
look like
crazy
you'd be a
stuff.
big Sydney Sweeney.
Oh, I'm
fan.
the biggest
He's
fan
a
of
big
her.
guy. Period.
Yeah.
The
Big
biggest.
boys love Sydney Sweeney.
I love her, but I didn't like the movie. It wasn't quick enough for me
I
or
didn't
something.
watch it.
I don't know.
I can't really sit down and watch a movie and pay attention.
I watched Late Night with the Devil the other day.
Oh yeah.
It's about a
Tuesday night?
like a 14-year-old girl that's possessed.
Yeah.
It goes on. This guy back in the 70s has a talk show, and he's trying to get his ratings up. It's sweeps
Oh,
week,
yeah?
so he has a bunch. He has like a clairvoyant medium come in, then he has like a guy that's a professional debunker. He debunks all these people, and then there was a girl that came in and was possessed, and she ripped that damn studio apart, buddy.
Hell yeah.
What was that movie where the girl at prom, she went crazy?
Carrie?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it was like that. She wreaked havoc on that studio. But we have a thriller expert here with us.
Witches. A witch expert.
A witch expert.
Might even be one.
Might even be.
Just kidding, baby.
Could be.
Just kidding.
Oh, she's a damn good witch, I'll tell you
She's a
that.
good one. She wouldn't be an evil one.
And a witch I would call a friend.
Thanks, guys. That's so nice.
Yeah.
I feel very,
Welcome.
yes, I feel very welcomed at the Fine by Me podcast today. You all
Should
have
it's at your house. I hope you do.
I hope you love the studio.
the studio's amazing. Just cords everywhere, guys.
All
But
in your lap.
that's okay.
Your husband has done this to you.
What do you got for us today? We're going to talk about. We're going to go to. Is it Salem, Oregon, or Salem, Massachusetts?
That would be Salem, Massachusetts.
Well, I've learned something new already.
Wow.
So
Here we go.
You heard it here first, folks.
Paint us a picture.
All right, so imagine you are back in 1692, you
You
guys.
can hold it if you want to.
I don't want to.
Okay.
Okay.
You're going to have to get closer to it, though. You're going to have to pull it up.
she said. I think
That's what he
you're
said.
doing
You
good. I
can
think
hold
you're
it if
doing
you want
good.
to.
Hold on.
I think you're doing good.
This is way too loose.
That's what he said.
I would call that stand Rhonda.
Oh, she's probably listening.
Okay. So
Probably write this shit down with this motherfucker.
okay, guys. So follow me
Reeling it in.
to 1692. You're in Salem, Massachusetts. It's a deeply religious area. It was a Puritan community, and they were very close knit. Everyone knew each other, but they were also, plagued with a lot of social, economic tensions. There were a lot of struggles with the wilderness back then, and then they also had their own fears, and they viewed misfortune and suffering as direct punishments or signs from God as well. So back then, the Puritan belief was that it was rooted in strict literal interpretations of the Bible, and they viewed that as the ultimate authority, their religious interpretations, and that was in all aspects of life. So they also believed in predestination, the idea that God had already chosen who would be saved and who would be damned. And during this struggle, there was just a continuous, constant struggle between good and evil back then. They also believed that the devil was constantly attempting to undermine God's work on earth. And the fear of devil and hell influenced many practices. And so, to the Puritans, Satan was very real. There was an active presence and always on the lookout to corrupt humans. And they would see any deviation or people that went from the norm as they would see that as a deviation from their practices that they had for religious beliefs, and would view that as potentially influenced by the devil. In Puritan doctrine, women were seen as inherently weaker and more susceptible to sin also. And with that strict moral code, it contributed to their belief that witches were a real threat sent by Satan. And so leading into that, when you think of the witches and the Salem witch trials, they believed that witches were often women. They were in pacts with Satan, and they were trying to gain supernatural, powers to harm others in return for serving Satan.
Is this when suffrage started?
Women's suffrage?
Yeah.
That was the 1920s.
Okay.
This
Oh,
is
they were suffering.
I was gonna say if they already thought that they were weaker and all this other stuff. I think women's suffrage was alive and well in the 17th century.
I'm sure it was, but women's suffrage was the 1920s.
As we know it.
But to stick up for the dudes, not on in the Salem witch
Why don't you
trials.
go ahead and defend them?
Can I say that it was not only women that got executed for
Correct.
witchcraft.
Right,
Correct.
and we'll get there.
Also,
Probably some ugly dudes.
what she was going on, it was a real religious place or a really religious time. A lot of times people would want repentance over the truth. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They, wild stuff.
They could accuse you of anything, and even if you weren't guilty,
Right.
you would still have to repent.
But if you ask for
Yeah.
forgiveness, a lot of times they would be like, okay, well, he asked for
He's
forgiveness.
good.
Yeah, he's good.
Good to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
continue.
So the Puritans felt that witches threatened that safety of the community. So that led for them to establish laws, like very strict laws to investigate and punish alleged witches. This belief led to the witch trials, and you'll see here in a little bit that fear, accusations of witchcraft escalated, and it went and led into this like mass hysteria that led to the execution of several people, and several innocent people were executed with that. So, like, back then, you had the village of Salem, and it was split. It was split into two factions. You had your wealthier, like, more established families that had inheritance. They had a history. And then you had your poorer, more, like, rural farmers that wanted, like, a greater independence from Salem towns. And that's what it's referred to a lot back then, as Salem town.
I don't know if you're going to get to this or not, but whenever I was reading, like, Salem Village was on the west side of this area, and Salem town was on the east side. Salem Village which is where, it's just a fun factoid, but Salem Village is actually where a lot of this happened, and where Salem is said to be now, or where like all the tourism stuff is actually in Salem town. But so Salem Village is actually in a place called Danvers, Massachusetts.
Yep.
Nick, real quick, I noticed you were wearing your black cross earrings today. Is that because it's Halloween?
I mean, sometimes the sparkle just don't shine the way the black might attack. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
And,
I can see where you was trying to flip that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's nice.
And I've been reading a rhyming book lately, so I'm working on that.
They say that's the first step to schizophrenia, is you start rhyming stuff. All the time. Yeah. Makes sense.
That fits protocol. Yeah.
Once you go black, you don't go back. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Okay. So, back to puritanical Salem. We have the divisions there that are also fueled by family rivalries. We have religious beliefs.
And these are a lot of whites, right?
All whites, I think. No, there was Tituba. She wasn't a white, right?
No.
No, she was.
We're white, so we can say all white.
Yeah. So these these rivalries led to resentment. You had families like the Putnams that would clash with the Porters over political and economic influences. So these family rivalries also aggravated the disagreements over who would be a minister, who would have that religious authority. And so this atmosphere was very, tensions were high. So that atmosphere, along with the suspicions of witchcraft, kind of like built this powder keg of accusations of witches. So it just like built on that. And it was often directed to those who were seen as outsiders, those who were already at odds with people in the community. It could have been accusers' families. It could have been that they were exploiting, the rivalries and just different moral failings. So this led to that hysteria.
A lot of chicks, like telling on other chicks, like saying, "Hey, this motherfucker over here's a witch," because I don't like her.
Yeah, well, so funny you bring that up, because it all started early in 1692 with two young girls. So it was young girls.
You have one a Porter and one a Portman?
No. So you have Betty Paris and you have Abigail Williams. Abigail Williams is the daughter and niece of Salem's minister. So very high in the community.
So she was like the
very
head
well
cheerleader.
known.
Yeah.
You
Popular.
said daughter and niece.
Yeah.
Daughter and niece. Oh.
Y'all ever
Yeah.
read The Crucible?
Yeah. So the Crucible is yes.
Hold on, just before we don't go straight too far. You said daughter and niece.
Right.
Betty Paris was the daughter of the town minister. Abigail Williams is the niece and cousin, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened is they started
First cousins.
they started to begin having like fits. They would have fits of rage. They would have violent fits. They started to have convulsions. And back then, no one really knew like what was the reason for that. It's 1692. So they so
Just broads.
These babes are wild.
so the girls, Betty and Abigail, they claimed that it was witchcraft, and that is what sparked the wildfire.
They had a
the
spell
wildfire.
on them.
There was a doctor that seen them, that checked them out. They were unable to find a medical condition for what was causing the fits of rage and the convulsions, and so he did suggest that they were afflicted by witchcraft.
Yeah, and they weren't sitting on gear shifters or nothing like that.
No, nothing in a Pizza Hut parking lot.
I forgot we even talked about that this podcast. Wow.
I done moved on.
Man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You never know what a yeast infection might do.
Oh God. Oh man. So the two girls, what they find out is that they were pressured by the so-called elders in the community or adults to name who their tormentors were, like who caused the witchcraft or whatever, and that's when they accused 3 women of that. They accused a lady by the name of Tituba, Sarah Good, and Sarah Osborne.
Sounds like she was Sarah Bad.
See, as I was looking at this up, all my notes just say the Sarahs.
Yeah. So
Very common name.
So to give you a little,
Okay.
so to understand these women, you want to understand the history of them. So these 3 women had a reputation of being vulnerable to suspicion. Tituba was an enslaved woman from the Caribbean or African descent, and she was in the Paris household. So she lived with them.
Betty.
House slave.
Betty Paris?
No, Thibodeau was their house slave.
Tatua.
Well, no, but her name
Whatever.
is Betty, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Betty Paris.
Trying to keep all
yes.
straight here.
Yeah, so she was often considered an outsider and believed to have knowledge of folk magic from the islands.
Gotcha.
Sarah Good was a homeless beggar. They claimed that she was known for abrasive personality. She begged for food in the community, so she was seen as an outsider. And then Sarah Osborne was a widow. She rarely attended church, was involved in a land dispute as well, and they said that she was morally questionable.
Promiscuous is probably what that means.
Harsh.
She's probably out there
It
getting
was probably spot on.
Her and
Maybe.
Sarah Good are trading out hand jobs behind the bakery.
There's probably a lot of hand
stuff.
stuff going on. Because
Yeah.
they really believed on not having sex before marriage. So probably a lot of hand and mouth stuff.
Okay.
You would
Anyway.
know about
All right,
that.
there's some assumptions there, but okay.
Yeah, accusations. I don't know if we. Has anyone talked to legal lately? Are they good on that?
I don't think so.
The Good and Osborne family
I
isn't
haven't.
going to come after us.
Are you trying to say it's time for our first ad break?
Boy, we sure could there, brother.
I think it's a perfect
I
time.
think it's a good
We
time
sure
for
could.
it.
Have you or someone you love been accused of witchcraft? Were you perhaps unceremoniously burned at the stake by a misguided mob in 1692? If so, you may be entitled to compensation. Hi, I'm Brad Smith of Smith & Smith Law. And we're here to represent you in the historic class action lawsuit against the township of Salem, Massachusetts. That's right. After over 300 years, we're holding them accountable for burning innocent women at the stake. Just because they wore black dresses, hung out with a cat, or maybe had a bad hair day that screamed witchy vibes. Did you once get caught making a weird brew of herbs and berries for a headache, only to have the townsfolk shout, "Sorcery!" and chase you with torches? Well, that's not illegal. It's self-care. And if you or your ancestors were wrongfully accused, persecuted, and possibly turned into kindling, Smith & Smith is ready to fight for justice. For too long, Salem has tried to sweep this under the rug with tourist shops and wax museums, but no more, I say. The flames of injustice burn hot, but not as hot as our passion for making them pay. We specialize in getting compensation for pain, suffering, wrongful execution, and posthumous defamation. And don't worry, we're not afraid of old curses or hexes. In fact, we embrace them. At Smith & Smith, we put the witch in witch hunt. Call now at 1-800-NOT-A-WITCH and get a free consultation. Together we'll rise from the ashes, literally. Smith & Smith Law. We'll fight for you because burning at the stake should never be a part of your personal growth journey.
Would like to say we do recognize this, just an aside for that, we do recognize that the state of Massachusetts did say sorry for the Salem witch trials in like the 70s or 80s, but we can still get you some money. That's all I'm trying to get at.
It wasn't enough.
I just want to say thanks. We don't say it enough, but thanks to Smith & Smith. It's been a while since they have paid the bills around here, so it's good to hear back from them.
It's nice to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So appreciate that,
Yeah.
Smith & Smith. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Back to Salem.
All right. So the first one that was questioned was, and I could be mispronouncing her name, Tituba. She initially, when questioned, denied any involvement that is, with witchcraft, but later she did confess. So after researching it, it's believed that it was under coercion. I'm saying that coercion. That she had been. Yeah, so she was talked into confessing that she may. So in that confession, she did say that she was approached by the devil and that she saw others in the village participating in witchcraft too. But it is believed that, she was talked into that confession. In her confession, it did provide details of encounters with Satan, witch meetings also, and her testimony seemed to confirm the fears that the community already had. So that led to more accusations as that hysteria spread. The three women, the girls began naming, or not the three that were accused, but the two girls, you have Betty and Abigail, they began naming more witches, so to speak. Often those that they seen that were isolated socially, involved in community conflicts. So we'll get there, but as the trial expanded...
Was the trial name Witches versus Bitches?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't know if they had that word back then.
I don't think that was in their vocabulary
Female
yet.
doll. It's a female doll.
Oh, true.
Were they
yeah.
speaking English back then?
Yeah.
Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah, they were from
Yeah.
over there.
over there.
Across the pond.
Across the pond, yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
It was old dumb English.
Where all the whites come from.
Old
Yeah.
dumb English.
Oh, as the trials expanded, you start to see that there are more people of different social standings that were also accused, not just the ones that were like outsiders or those marginalized in society. So that was the initial spark, was targeting those marginalized women whose lives were different, and made them susceptible to studying witchcraft.
Interesting.
I'll say, like I said, it started off being kind of a prejudice or maybe racist type of targeting, and then it turned into businessmen probably that were in the crowd there were like, we're trying to get rid of this family. We can really ruin them if we...
Their daughters cut a little funny.
Well, yeah, their
Yeah.
daughter and the dude's wife,
Yeah.
how'd they let the devil in their house?
It sure really shows you the dangers of groupthink. You know what I mean? Like you get a bunch of people together thinking the same
Mob
thing.
mentality.
Mob mentality.
Yeah.
So a special court was established for the trial, and it was established to try the accused. Again, most women. There were men that we'll talk about too. They wanted like hasty, like fast trials. They were very brutal in what they done as means of execution, and they based it a lot on fear over fact in the trials.
Can I time out real quick?
Time out too.
A wild thing they used to do to convicted witches that weren't even like, not convicted, but accused witches, is they had this device. It was like a seesaw. And they, on one end, they had like a cage, and they would put the accused witch in the cage. And on the other end, there would be like 2 or 3 dudes, whatever, and they would dunk their ass in water over and over and over again until they confessed they were a witch. And so eventually they would just say, "Yeah, I'm a witch, man. Please stop drowning me." Fucked up.
When she said that there was a special court built, it made me think this would be a funny skit.
Yeah.
Bum, dum, 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 bum, down, down, bum, 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 witch court. And it's just a bunch of pilgrims behind a desk.
This may be a thing.
And then
Dude,
they come bring in just dirty women that are chained up.
If we collectively knew enough women, that would be real.
You make us sound like incels.
I'm pretty sure that Monty Python has already have that.
Yeah,
they already
well,
have
it
that
would be funny to have,
established
like,
in the Holy Grail.
2 burners to be like, "She's a witch, she's a witch," and then like the next one that comes up, there's like a whole story behind it.
Christy's schooling us on some comedy.
Oh yeah, I remembered that scene very
Yeah.
well because it was like they weighed her against a duck.
Yeah.
And
Which
they were
one
like-
floats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so like that whole dunking in the water. Just
Yeah.
silly. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to hold
She
up
started
to that?
talking about science, and then they were like, "Witch, she's a witch, witch."
He was talking about what do you call it? Punishment, whatever. Torture.
Yeah. Torture.
But the way they killed people, I don't think they ever burned anybody. Like that's a tall tale,
Right,
correct?
it is.
Like it was
Yes.
like
Hanging,
they actually
mostly.
never they actually never tall taled anybody to death. They actually hung them all.
Or drown them.
I have
Yeah.
yeah.
It just wasn't. There wasn't the burning at the stake.
They
That
died
was
of
not a
suffocation.
thing. Like
Right.
that's just a folklore, whatever. Yeah.
Big suffocation, folks.
It might be Big Witch Court trying to scare people from witchery.
You talking
It's
about
like,
Big
whoop,
Witch?
We're talking about Big Witch. Corporate witch.
Corporate witch.
Corporate witch court.
You did know that the governor of Massachusetts' wife was accused of being a witch. And he said, "No, enough of this shit. We got to get this out of here."
Is that what it's
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
They coming for office, buddy. The devil and his
He said,
minions.
"No way. She might be sometimes, but not all the time."
That's
All right,
perfect.
Christy, I done my time to you.
Okay, so one of the first women to be tried and executed was Bridget Bishop. So
Well, she wasn't even in the original 3. What the hell? Where'd the
They
2
all
go?
told on her.
Yeah.
They took deals.
Bridget,
man.
you say her name?
this is Bridget.
Poor Bridget.
Yeah, I know.
Scapegoat.
So a surprise is there was a lack of solid evidence. But she had odd mannerisms. She had a past reputation. I don't know. I couldn't find much about her past,
Been a little slut.
but it led to her being convicted of practicing witchcraft. So the witnesses that accused her said that she appeared in spectral form to harm them. So I want to pause here to talk about spectral evidence because you'll if you research the witchcraft or the witch trials, you'll see a lot about spectral evidence, and that played a crucial role in the court. So it refers to the claim that a person's spirit appeared to them, to the accuser, in dreams or visions to harm or torment them. Even if that person that they accused is in a different town, nowhere near them, that they're just somewhere else. So they argued that the devil could use that person's likeness or spirit and act on their behalf. So that is what you see a lot in the Salem witch trials, and you eventually see that a judge later starts to question the legitimacy of spectral evidence. But for Bridget, that doesn't happen.
First case, they hadn't learned anything yet.
Yeah.
It was the beta program.
Yeah.
Didn't Sarah Good, whenever she was in prison, didn't her 4-year-old daughter testify against her?
Yes, so you see that a lot as their families will testify
4
against
years
them.
old, dude.
So these
Witch.
the girls that were afflicted, so Betty and Abigail, they claimed that they would see these spectral forms as animals, ghost figures, shadow shapes, and this just fueled that public paranoia. So this mass hysteria is just growing at this time. And Bridget was found guilty, and she was hanged
Dang.
June 10th of 1692.
Killed her.
Yeah, they
2
did.
days
She
before
didn't even
my
do
birthday.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Maybe you were reincarnated as her.
one day before
Could be,
my first marriage's anniversary. So,
Oh, congratulations.
Fantastic.
So,
We all
so-
bond over that.
so during this time,
great.
the courts continued to rely on that spectral evidence. So there was nothing more than that. There was no hard, concrete evidence. Martha Carrier was another woman that was convicted. She was outspoken. She defied like the social norms, religious
Witch.
norms.
100% a witch.
Yeah, and so she was convicted.
Conform, damn you!
So Martha, she was convicted because her children were talked into confessing that she practiced witchcraft. They claimed that they saw her practicing
What happened to
witchcraft.
loyalty?
Who's talking? Who's doing the talking into here?
So they would have
Which
like
court?
men like in the like that held these high courts. So
Pilgrim looking dude.
So-
Probably like the ministers of the churches
Yeah,
or something.
probably.
yeah, so you had
Law
The Putmans and the
so there were magistrates, Jonathan
Peanuts.
Corwin and John Hawthorne were two that initially presided, and then as it grew and there were more, close to 200 people were. I talk with my hands.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what I
sorry.
you
So,
some girl being animated.
Huge. It
but
was a huge court.
there were.
The wigs were huge.
But as those accusations grew, they needed more judges, and so Samuel Sewall and William Stoughton also were a part of the judge, like that presided over these, and they would talk, to the ones that were afflicted, and then they would interview and talk to the ones that
Yeah.
were being convicted.
Yeah.
Coerced.
Yes.
More or less.
Yeah. So
People that were in holding or whatever. Yeah.
the next one I want to talk about is where you start to see that it branches out from people that were in those marginalized areas of the community. So you have Rebecca Nurse, that was a respected elderly woman, and she was sentenced despite her family's strong defense, for her. She had a great standing in the community. She was a religious woman. But so at this point, her conviction to witchcraft sent shockwaves to the public, because they were like, oh my God, even the most upright citizens could be accused of witchcraft. So that just fueled the fear even more when she was convicted. Oftentimes the court would encourage the accused individuals to confess to witchcraft in exchange for safety, in exchange for land, they could continue owning their land. If they refuse or could not defend their actions or themselves, they were just very quick to convict them.
You may have already said this. How long did this last, though?
Not very long. I think it was over in 1693. So it was about a year or so.
Okay.
They wised up pretty quick.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you start to see, as we continue, you start to see that there are judges that are like, this spectral evidence
Doesn't make any sense.
doesn't make sense.
The
No.
governor of Massachusetts also. As
So,
well.
And they were finding this stuff in these people's butts?
Buds.
Rectal evidence?
Earbuds.
spectral.
Oh,
Spectral
I've been
evidence.
imagining some butt stuff. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you could start all over, because my vision is...
That's going to take us to a new segment real quick, I
Tainted.
think. And that's a segment where we're going to say something is not fine by me.
Not fine by
Just
me.
in the middle of this segment.
Right here.
I get cut off.
Real quick. We got to get this in. Well, I didn't want to talk about butt stuff, so that's not fine by
Yeah,
me.
it's
So
not
real quick. So something that's been driving me nuts are these pharmaceutical commercials. How they always got upbeat music. Everybody's having a good time, while the whole time they're reading off side effects where
Cancer.
you can have a sudden death. You know,
Yeah.
Heart attack.
Fatality.
don't take this if you're allergic to this medicine. Like, why
Yeah.
would you take the medicine if you're allergic to it?
Yeah.
But that's just something that's not fine by me.
Yeah, we're only one of 2 countries that allow that
Really.
at all.
See?
Yeah.
So it's not just me.
Oh, I thought you knew that, actually. I was
did
hoping
not.
you knew the other country.
I don't. Bangladesh.
No, it's like New Zealand or something.
Maybe that could be right. That sounds right.
I don't remember. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, guys. But even their commercials for it is way more strict than our commercials are. Like it's a different world, even in that one other country that allows pharmaceutical commercials.
I think they should be made to do subtitles too for the reading fast.
Yeah, that's fair. Or just send out for every one of those commercials, they have to send out a script for it.
Yeah.
That's just to everybody.
To try it.
So,
No,
just a
not a
script to
prescription.
every
but
Not
person.
a prescription.
Yeah. I went down the
script
drug route.
to everybody in the United States. That would, just to get in their pockets a little bit more, because fuck,
Make them
Big
all that
pharma.
copy paper, dude. Ink.
Yeah.
Man.
you ever
killing trees, baby.
you ever seen that picture? Like a CVS pharmacist took a picture. This black dude came in and he had a prescription. He stole a prescription pad from his doctor.
Yeah.
And it said 1 pound morphine to go.
Pound of it. I need a pound of it.
1 pound morphine to go.
But that's just one of the many things that's not fine by me.
Well, thanks for breaking up the podcast.
I won't have to do it anymore the rest of the show. She's got
Thank
the rest of
God.
the
Yeah,
show.
we've got
Yeah.
I was going to say
We got timetables we got to work in.
There's so many
multiplication
things that
tables.
aren't fine by me, but here we
I was
go.
pretty good at those. At sevens, I was good at sevens.
Sevens?
Sevens are easy.
Sevens are nines are pretty easy too.
Nines are very easy.
Yeah. Tens are pretty easy too.
Bro, speak for yourself.
When it gets to 12s, that's when I start falling apart.
I remember I knew 12 times 12 was 144. I was like 9 years old. I thought I was the smartest man alive.
I got
That's
it
as far as
figured
my
out.
math
I've
got.
got life figured out.
Y'all remember? Did y'all ever do like bell ringers, like the first 5 minutes in school, like in class, in like I don't know, 2nd, 3rd grade? Like we'd have times tables, and we all were timed to see how fast we could get.
I bet you used to get stressed out on that.
Oh, I hated every
I can
minute
see
of
you
that.
now.
so
What the fuck?
we didn't learn times tables till 4th grade, so in
Oh.
Scottsville. So I do recall doing that. It was just much
A little
later.
bit of a learning curve.
We had to memorize the FFA creed.
The creed, yes.
Yeah, and Jacob Walton sat.
Gay.
The podium was in the front of the class. Mr. Duncan was in the very back. Jacob Walton sat in front of the podium with his backpack, and the creed was on his backpack. And we all just read the motherfucker.
That's smart.
And he was like, "This is the only class I've ever had that everybody memorized the creed."
And it was y'all. He should have known better.
Yeah. We've been teaching for 30 years.
We just big brain this thing, man.
Okay.
Why by the
Carry
owl?
on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So getting back to Salem, one of the accused I want to talk about was a former minister, George Burroughs. He was well known in the community. He had a good reputation. He was also accused, but he was accused because of his strong physical strength. Not even anything that amounted to really anything.
All right,
but
this guy can carry really big rocks.
He's got a beautiful head of hair.
yeah,
I'm
so
sorry, can you repeat his name? I'm sorry.
George Burroughs.
Okay.
He was accused of having just extraordinary physical strength. Yes. And allegedly, at the time of his execution, he recited the Lord's Prayer perfectly at his execution. And that was said at the time that if you were under the influence of the devil, like, you could not recite the
Like
Lord's
that movie
Prayer.
we watched
like
the other night.
The witch.
The Bavitch or whatever.
Oh,
Remember
that's
yeah.
a great movie.
that kid couldn't say the prayers? Like, oh my God! It's
Yeah.
like they thought because he couldn't say the prayers.
Yep.
He was
So
like
it was said to be impossible for a witch to recite the Lord's Prayer.
Oh, wow. I wonder why
And
they did that.
so despite his pleas, of innocent, he was hanged too. August of 1692.
Goodness, that
I
rope
know.
got a lot of action.
It really did.
Yeah, good time being in the rope and stool business. Huh?
You want to know what's something that's a little bit funny? That obvious, like I said earlier, that that the village is in
Danvers.
Yeah, Danvers, Massachusetts. So the site where most of them were hung is just like in like this spot next to a Walgreens parking lot now. So it's not even
Yeah.
like
It's about like the actual dueling ground in Simpson County, where there was a really famous duel between who was it? Do you
I don't remember the name.
It was a really famous senator. His name might have been on the damn Declaration of Independence, but that is behind the old drive-in, just in the middle of a cornfield.
Yeah,
Where
it's like
actually-
a weird
But
spot.
that's like our big historical thing is the dueling grounds, distillery, dueling grounds, racetrack.
yeah.
you know?
Good luck finding it.
Yeah. You better know the landowner when you go out there.
I know exactly who it is now. He done bought the drive-in and closed it. He gonna build apartments on the dueling
That
ground.
son of a
Yeah.
bitch.
So, one of the really more tragic cases that I read about was of Giles Corey. He was an elderly man.
Wesley Giles
He-
Willoughby.
He refused to enter a guilty plea because he was trying to avoid his property getting seized. But as a result of his never entering into a plea at all, he was subjected to pressing. So I don't know if you know what pressing is back then.
Yeah.
So it's a brutal form of torture where they place heavy stones on your chest. And these stones were placed on his chest, and they were like, "Are you going to confess guilty?" And he said no. So they continued to press more and more stones on his chest. And allegedly, after those days of suffering, his final last words, allegedly, it's reportedly that it was more weight. And
Savage.
that was his
Badass.
last, and those were his last words as he was crushed to death.
You
That'd
gonna
give
let
me
him
chills.
yeah.
Hell
Let him
yeah.
get the win.
That's a man's death.
Pretty savage.
Who's gonna carry the boats?
That's tight.
So, through it all, nearly 200 people faced charges of witchcraft.
Dang.
You had people that were turning on neighbors. You had people that were turning on friends. Even family members were turning on each other.
That girl's daughter.
Yeah, the trials created this atmosphere of just betrayal and mistrust.
Oh.
But I will say that close, to the end of 1693, public opinion began to shift as doubts about the legitimacy of the trials grew.
Sure.
Yeah, so you had ministers. So a minister, his name was Increase Mather, which is a really badass name.
That is a cool name.
That's a badass
name's
name.
Increase?
That's a replacement for more weight. Increase matter.
So that guy also went by Cotton Mathers as well.
He's
I read about this.
He
guy.
may be in the X-Men apparently.
Why do you need two killer names?
Yeah.
Increase and Cotton?
Yeah,
Hey.
I didn't even see the Increase name. I know it's got to be the same person though.
Yeah, so he was one of the ministers that condemned the use of spectral evidence. And that's ultimately what created the end of the Salem witch
Well,
trials.
guys, we gotta quit looking up these people's butts.
It's enough of these anal
So
probes.
it ended in
Rectal
1693, but even though it ended, the damage was already done. 20 people had been executed.
Yeah, I'd say
Families
Torn
were
apart.
devastated. There was fear. There was injustice. And so through the years, like the Salem witch trials have just became that lasting symbol of the dangers of what mass hysteria, wrongful accusations, and unchecked authority can do.
unchecked
and
authority.
groupthink.
Say it louder for the
All right.
people in the back.
So I do want to end like my talking on just a modern parallel to the Salem witch trials. Like I know you all are about conspiracies with
Let's hear
Fine
it.
by Me. So
Is this about the vaccine?
no. So
Is this about the JFK assassination?
no. So one area of modern times that you could see as a witch hunt it can be within politics, it can be within social media. But during the McCarthy era of the 1950s, Joseph McCarthy led a series of investigations to root out alleged communists in the government, entertainment business,
Red Scare.
based on weak or circumstantial evidence. And much like in Salem, those accusations, they spread quickly. Those accused faced ruined careers. They were blacklisted, and some of them even had jail time without solid proof. So just know that
Oppenheimer's wife was
Right.
was a reformed communist.
Yeah, so was Oppenheimer.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So that's where I'd like to end, just on that modern parallel to
That's
the
great.
witch trials.
Good job.
Very informative.
Very
Thank
informative.
you, Christy.
There's just a few things that I'd like to kind of add to everything that she just said. I think you said there was near 200 accused, right?
Yes,
But only 20 ended up dying.
right.
So that
10%. That's not bad.
but, yeah, it's not bad. But so the numbers that I found through everything I looked up was 157 was accused. 57 of those, to bring it back to the beginning of her information, was Abigail Williams. So Abigail Williams
Dang.
is
Head
the one.
cheerleader.
She was the one that put everybody on
Miss
blast.
Popularity.
Yeah.
So she did a
Mean
whole lot
Girls,
of the
yeah.
blasting. And she was also so Betty. There's actually stories of her going on and having a life. Betty Paris, but Abigail Williams was never wrote about again. Like at some point during the courts going on for all of this, Betty and Abigail ended up just vanishing for a time. Betty ended up showing back up. Abigail was never reported in history again. So that, I found that kind of wild for her to be the one that was like accusing the most people,
Heavy
and then she
accuser.
just never shows back up again. That seems wild. Also, Abigail Williams. I know that name. I don't know if it's just because of the Salem witch trials
Probably.
that name sticks out for me a lot, and I just have never really looked into the witch trials as much as I have here in the last month or so.
I've seen enough movies like this to know the exact personality that she has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 It's like, oh,
So there,
girl
and
sucks.
also I think it was in 1693 whenever all of this kind of started to come into an end after Increase Mathers, or Cotton Mathers, whatever you want to go with, both cool names. But everybody in town got upset with Minister Paris. Like, how could this happen at a man of God's house? Yada, yada, yada. They were all trying to kick him out. So he wrote an essay about how he was being punished for something he did. And then everybody thought to elaborate or to add on to the coercion thing that Christy said, the thing that, in my opinion, based on everything I've read, is what started the ability to make this kind of go as far as it ended up going. He told Thibodeau, or ever how you say her name,
The tuba?
The tuba.
Thibodeau.
You got it.
Thibodeau is what I've
Man.
heard a couple times today.
People know what you mean, man.
But
Carry on.
but either way, he says he was being punished by getting kicked out because of him telling Thibodeau, whoever, to say that she was a witch.
Yeah,
pretty
he
much.
was the one that pretty much convinced her to to confess.
It was kind of wild
Yep.
too because it like all that started with him and like after it all ended, but he didn't end up getting kicked out until 1697. So he fought it for a good few years before he was like, "All right, I'm out. I'm fucking out of here, I guess."
I don't know about
I'm gonna
Thibodeau,
ruin someone else's town.
but I don't have a left tibia. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Josh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's why we got him here, guys.
And Tituba, actually, the whole time, that whole year, while everything was going on, she actually was not one of the ones that got executed. She ended up actually getting bought out of jail.
So
From
she was
another
bought
camp.
twice.
Yeah, so she got bought by another Puritan family and ended up being a house slave.
That's
elsewhere.
why those guys, to bring it to a real sad level, I don't know why, but that's why those guys get into sex trafficking, because you can only sell cocaine once, but you can sell sex. You can sell a person over and over and over and over again.
It's
Well,
got
that's
pretty
sad
dark.
but true.
Yeah.
Sad but
I
true.
don't know why.
I was trying to.
felt obliged to.
This is a goof off show. Let's get back to
Sad
that.
but true.
Yeah.
I think that's all I've got. Other than the only other thing, I think it was 1967, that a study was done on they were eating a lot of rye bread, and that summer was a very like humid, wet summer,
Humid.
which would have caused a
Humid.
whole lot of fungus to grow on rye bread.
What's that fungus called, Wes?
Ergot rye.
Ergot.
And in low doses, it can cause hallucinations. In high doses, it's going to cause you're not. I mean, you probably be hallucinating, but you're going to be throwing up and shitting yourself the whole time.
I think that's what Abigail and who was the other girl?
Betty.
Betty
I think
Paris.
it's what Abigail and Betty. I think they had some of that ergot poisoning.
Yeah.
And that's what
So
happened.
That's
so-
a theory.
I was going to say, so that's the whole reason that the 1967 study, or it might have been 57, either way, the whole reason it happened was because of the way that they described how people were acting in the town, like after everything was kind of out in the open, was everybody was talking about having muscle spasms, they were contorting their bodies, they had like stomach aches, they were seeing specters, so that kind of like check on everything that ergot rye would do to you. And then after like they caused all this ruckus, then society took over and did all the bullshit with it, as far as trying to take people's land away, and people accusing other people even though they weren't hallucinating or anything. They were just like, this motherfucker's also hallucinating. I heard through the grapevine, but they actually weren't.
Well, you know what? Maybe that explains the difference in appearance of Betty and Abigail. Because they went out there and had some religious experiences out there hallucinating, and they were like, you know what? I'm gonna travel the world for a little bit.
See, and that's
spread my wings.
And that's one of the big things. Another thing is because in the stories that those two girls, Abigail and Betty, we used to, like, it was kind of like a rite of passage, or like young girls did it, but probably because it was taboo. But they did something called Venus glass, where you just drop an egg white into a bowl of water, and whatever form it took, it kind of like told you your fortune.
Or your future.
Yeah, told you your fortune or whatever, and then one night, their egg white turned into a shape that looked like a
Penis.
coffin,
Close.
and that's where they started going crazy. After that is whenever they started exhibiting the muscle spasms, hallucinations.
That dark magic, brother.
Making them daggum
You
Reuben
look
sandwiches.
You look like some kind of dark magic right now.
Man, real quick, what's y'all's favorite scary movie? All time, each of you, favorite scary movie, since it's Halloween episode. I'm going to go last.
I don't watch a lot of scary movies.
All right,
but
I'm
I
gonna
tell
tell
you what,
What's the movie that scared you the most? How about that?
Yeah.
In your whole life. And why?
Man, the original It. I couldn't finish it.
Like the 80s it?
It took me like probably 6 or 7 attempts to get all the way through that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fucked me
Tim
up.
Curry.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
good.
he was fantastic in everything.
What about you, Christy?
I would say more recent movie that has caused like nightmares. There's two. There was the first Conjuring, and then Hereditary. Hereditary kept me up at night for a few nights. Like,
Good thing you had me to keep you safe. Wes?
So whenever I was a kid, for some reason, so I'm gonna reach out to a couple dudes, Pedro Shelton, Michael Allen.
Pedro.
I used to hang out with y'all all the time, and we watched Deep Blue Sea. We went to the theaters and saw Deep Blue Sea, and it was fine. And then we went back that night and we watched it, and I was terrified. And like they started this rumor that I was terrified of Deep Blue Sea, but it was actually fucking it. So
He was scared of the sharks. He was scared of the sharks.
Still sour about it. And if Wes is mad, I'm fired up.
It was fucking Pennywise. Fuck that guy.
Come on,
just
dude.
be honest, Wes. You were afraid of Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, there was nothing
That's
in Deep Blue
what
Sea
it
to
was.
be scared of. I'll be honest about things I was scared of, and I'll even do it right now. As an adult, Paranormal Activity fucked me up for like a week and a half.
That was the first movie like that, kinda, pretty much.
I slept with the lights on for a couple nights. I was in my early 20s.
What genre would y'all?
It's like handy cam horror, I guess.
Well, is it thriller?
Yeah, probably thriller. Yeah,
first person point of view, kind of.
Yeah, I love those movies now. Actually, like I've rewatched them. Like so now they've come out with like obviously a bunch of sequels, but now they kind of weave in and out of what the order of the movies are.
I don't think I've ever watched them.
It was like a $20,000 budget.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. But if you watch them there's an order now to watch them all in. It's kind of neat to watch them all in the order that they're meant to be played in now. Because like sequels came out before prequels and stuff like that. It's kind of a neat series.
I'm gonna have to say the movie The Strangers because it's just too real.
Is that the one with
the home invasion?
With they have the sacks over their head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's too real, man. It could really happen. It could really happen, and I'd have to fight. I'd put Christy in between me and them.
They come here.
And I don't want to have to do that. But I will. I'm a survivor, baby. I'm a survivor.
Well, I'm going to Costa Rica Wednesday. I'll be gone for 7 days.
Yeah.
So
we've got the
Election.
coming up next Tuesday, so he's gonna miss the election.
Are y'all gonna do that on Zoom or in person?
It'll be on
We'll
Zoom.
Zoom. Yeah.
Okay.
Be easier.
It'll be easier.
If I'm at a spot with Wi-Fi, I'll come in for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
We might reach out.
Probably not a long time.
Can we text you all day that day though?
No, you can't.
Remember, I got mad. I got plumb mad yesterday.
I'm leaving the group chat for the week because Mint Mobile only allows me 500 text messages while I'm down there.
Mint Mobile.
Yeah,
Hell
it's
yeah.
$30 a month.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds give us a. We'll definitely. Be
Hey, buddy. You gonna charge me $30 a month? Yeah. I'll turn some of my text messages down.
Yeah. Fuck that. Yeah.
No, it's fine.
No,
I
I've already-
understand, buddy.
Even if you're not able to come, I've already reached out to some goons. Y'all know who you are. That are planning on dropping in on Tut. Gonna be one of them.
Y'all would blow through 500 in 3 days.
Maybe 2 days on a good.
Yeah, on a day that I'm not busy at work.
I like how we'll get a group message going. We have 2 different group messages. One has an extra person in it, but me and Wes will be texting each other in the both group messages
at the same time.
at the same time.
Yeah.
2 different
No reason.
conversations.
And we could really have the same conversation in both of them.
I just don't want to bore the other person that has nothing to do with it. I'm like, he don't want to see this. Am I crazy? We'd like to thank our guest today, Christy Biggs. Thank you for coming.
It was nice it was nice having me. It was
You're
nice.
damn right.
It was the best.
Absolutely correct.
It was
And,
I love whenever you come on. I love the first time you came on a year
Yeah.
ago. It was
Hope
so
you come
cool.
back again sometime.
Make it more.
We might have some guests popping in in the next
Oh,
month and a half.
We do have
We
no
got
month
a
and
few
a half.
options. Well, I mean, just to spread them out, and not pile.
We got
holidays coming up.
We got a Bowling Green celebrity coming in a couple
In
weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, we ain't gonna tell you who,
Yeah.
but they better bring.
They better bring the heat.
They better bring the heat.
Tell him to bring his puppet.
Well, don't give away too much. Happy Halloween, everybody!
Yes,
And
happy Halloween.
Thanks for listening. Like, comment, subscribe. Josh,
press that like, comment,
yeah, do
subscribe,
that.
share,
You have no idea how much a comment on a video helps us out.
Get up on that Patreon.
We still have T-shirts. We got some T-shirts, limited sizes. We're gonna have to do another order.
Maybe write in the comment section who is the sexiest ghost you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Media, real life person
Period.
with your own eyes. Who is the sexiest ghost you've ever seen?
Sure.
Wasn't Sigourney Weaver or somebody naked on like an alien movie? What was
She
that?
was an alien.
Yeah.
No, the one with Sam Neill. We talked about it a few weeks ago.
This is the movie Ghost
It
where
was
they're
an
doing
alien.
the pottery
They were on a
thing?
ship or something.
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon.
Yes.
There was boobies in that.
Yeah, there's boobies in
Yeah.
there, but that's not Sigourney Weaver.
Touched myself to that.
Jeez, well, that's been great. Thank y'all for listening, and this has been
Fine by me.
Love y'all. Thank you for your time.
and we're out.